Lexie mentioned you guys didn't watch practice from last night's game. You want to turn the page. Just what was the message to people?
Yeah, I mean, we'll watch that individually and in small groups. We wanted to take the time today. On these short turnarounds, it's hard to do both without making it incredibly long days, especially when you get back really late. So we'll watch them in small groups. We'll watch them, individual film. We gotta grow. We gotta be better. We've got to make sure that we're not making the same mistakes. Sometimes that's defensive coverages. Sometimes that's lapses and being great screeners. Sometimes that's giving shooters passes. It's all about the little things, right? And being detailed oriented, and being able to carry over from one game to the next. So we started working on Connecticut today and getting ready for tomorrow.
Steph, is this less about the mentality? Okay, we can't do X, Y, and Z maybe with Caitlin, but what can we do with her? Is that what could the brain you got to switch over in that direction?
Yeah, it is, and how you play. I mean, Caitlin's a player who has the ball in her hands a lot, plays a lot in two man. That's she's found success with AB in the two man game. She's found success in finding Kelsey in the two man game. I think sort of re-engineering and looking at some of our more off ball movement, and that's timing, that's spacing, that's a different kind of execution. It's something that we want to get to anyway, so that we have a healthy balance. So it's obviously you're putting a lot of pieces together. Having Dee Dee early in and out of the lineup, Sophie in and out of the lineup, and now Caitlin out of the lineup, trying to put those pieces together and mesh it. It's taken a little bit more time, but I can tell you I'd rather have the adversity now in May than as we go through the season, and I believe that this is going to make us stronger.
What's been the most frustrating thing of kind of the last week when things aren't clicking, people are on different pages, and the execution hasn't been there to your liking?
I think our defensive execution, that's something that's got to travel. Offensively, it's going to be a work in progress. We know that. We've got to be able to stay in our defensive coverage in our on-ball screen. We got to be able to know it. We got to be able to communicate it. We got to be able to execute it. We've got to force people to beat us with second and third actions, not in their first action. And oftentimes when we're getting beat in that first action, then it's opening them up for offensive rebounds. And that's when we tend to put people at the line because we're automatically in rotation to start, and then we're playing from behind.
A lot of them have talked about the physicality. Is that like lead by example, or is that something everyone just needs to start out with from the beginning of the game?
I think everybody needs to start out with it, by the beginning of the game. We cannot allow teams to just move the ball where they want to. We've got to be up in passing lanes. We've got to have a little bit more physicality just in terms of us not letting them go where they want to go. They got to feel us, and that looks different. It looks different from the perimeter than it does in the post. But you have to make them feel us, that they can't just move freely, cut freely, pass freely. A lot of offense in the WNBA is about rhythm. It's about timing. It's about spacing. And physicality just disrupts rhythm, timing, and spacing. And, we've seen it on our end and how it disrupts us a little bit. And we need to be a little bit more imposing our will a little bit more on the defensive end.
Just find teams are just better at that. Offenses are just better. I know that doesn't answer the question at all, but we just see so much more from so many teams now that we get.
No question. I mean, and good offense always beats good defense. It's something that you have to make adjustments, and you have to have counters, and you have to read, and you have to keep playing through multiple actions. So what you have to do as a defensive team is you have to force them into what you're willing to live with, right? And not what they want to do, not their strength, but you have to force them into what are you willing to live with? How are we willing to have them, make a shot, or what are we willing to accept from a defensive standpoint? And we haven't, we've done it at times, but consistently we are not to where we need to be.
Is that the trickiest part? Because you've had some 12, 13, 14-point quarters,
yeah.
And then there's the 30s and the 35s that are getting at you.
It is, and it's a mentality. And again, from us, from a coaching perspective, that's our job has to be able to find those right defensive combinations. Who can we have on the floor that plays well together offensively? Who can we have on the floor that plays well together defensively? And sometimes we might have to give up one for the other.
All right, go ahead.
What was the overwhelming takeaway from the film session?
We have a lot of areas to grow. We didn't watch film from yesterday, so we're just turning the page, a quick turnaround, play tomorrow. So just focusing on getting back to what we're good at and playing our brand of basketball and finding flow on offense and defense. And we're excited to turn the page.
Does it feel like a lot of back to the fundamentals, like a lot of talk about marked play and being in the right spot and knowing your personnel?
Yeah, and it definitely starts with effort. We drill and practice. We didn't have great practices leading up to the game yesterday, so just making sure that we're locking in practice so that translates to the game. But yeah, I think with Caitlin out, we do have to focus on the fundamentals and find the open shots, find the easy shots, and it looks different without her out there. So trying to figure out what that looks like, that's what we've been focused on.
There been any reason that you felt that there haven't been as many 3 opportunities for the entire team? Is that something you guys would like to have more 3-point attempts in general?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of things on the offensive side we want to get better at. Starts in transition. I think we didn't have many transition opportunities yesterday, so that opens up the 3 ball. Just a lot of things. We need to move the ball, get the ball inside. Aaliyah only having 5 shots, trying to change that too. So there's a lot of things. I think yesterday's game, yes, it's disappointing to lose, but I think we're able to learn a lot from it and get better, and we're lucky that it's happening now versus the end of the season.
I see your fingers wrapped. Did you jam it a little bit?
Yeah, we got a little puffy finger today, but that's okay.
Well, you talk about not lingering on that game for yesterday. So what's mentally, how do you kind of feel what wanted to eat? I know that that's a regular thing for, but wait, not focusing on that a lot. How do you turn the page?
I mean, it's just knowing what we need to do better and pinpointing things that we know we can do better. It's not that we can't do those things. It's not that it's impossible. We haven't seen ourselves do it. We've seen ourselves do certain things, and we didn't do them yesterday. So making sure that we're locked in and focusing on the little things, because at the end of the day, all those little things really added up yesterday, and it starts on the defensive side. So we're really locked in for tomorrow on that side.
On the outside, it might seem like just bad. Big thing of Caitlin being out, but really just a lot of little C's. Benjamin, rate buzz adjustments. It's gonna steer this in the right direction for a couple weeks.
Yeah, I mean, defenses play us different without Caitlin out there. So we're just trying to, figure out what our best looks are, and it's going to be a learning process. It feels a little bit like we're starting over with a different group because everything's a little bit different without her out there. But we're excited about the opportunity to have everybody step up. We talked about being deep and being able to rely on all of our players to go out there and impact the game in a positive way.
You mentioned the bad practices leading up to Washington. Do you feel like today was better practice?
Yeah, I think we had good energy. I think we're all, excited about forgetting about the one yesterday and moving on and getting better and putting a better brand of basketball out there. So the energy was good, and we're definitely excited for tomorrow.
You're probably closest as anyone to Kevin. How's she handling not playing?
I mean, you saw her out there yesterday. She's on the court still talking to the refs. So she's ready to be back. And I know for her, it's success. As anybody, we all are here because we want to be playing. And she'll be back and healthy before we know it.
You see a lot of talking between really just kind of everybody. It has something to offer about every little thing. How's the communication like with that?
I'm seeing her grow in ways I didn't expect. I think her being able to watch the game from a different lens and be able to sit by the coaches and hear what they say. And I think she's learning a lot, and she's, in the locker room being very vocal about that, because you do hear things and you see things differently when you're not in game mode. So I think it'll be good. It'll be good for her game. It'll be good for us. And I think we're just trying to take as much as we can from this experience as we can.